All right, welcome back to Social Distillation, the submarine still of the internet, where we attempt to drop the bead and pour white lightning straight onto your brain. What are we talking about today, Sebo?
Well, we got two subjects. Hopefully, at least one of them is helpful to you. The first one, we're going to talk female and male sex differences when it comes to actually sex. Multiple orgasms, which, racy subject, but it has deep meaning versus how a guy experiences it
Hmm.
because, we can do it more than once in a day, but we need a recharge, and the female can get the dice rolling. And there's a lesson in that. Uh, and then we might talk a little bit of psychedelic therapy at the tail end of this.
So this has been noodling around in my brain for a little bit, as we've
Noodling.
been talking, as we've been talking sex differences a lot. And the last several weeks we've been focusing on bros mostly, and now we kind of want to bring it together. um, but I was doom scrolling, even though I know I'm not supposed to, and I came across the clip from uh, several years back when we already knew who Jordan Peterson was, but I think the Kathy Newman interview kind of really went viral and exposed him to an even broader
Yeah, that's
audience.
what blew him up. Yeah,
Yeah, a
yeah.
broad general audience as opposed to just people who were curious about what he talks about and what he had to say. And at the end of that, um, I don't know if she was being snarky or serious, but she asks him, I think the last question was, how would your life be different if you were a woman? And he rather flippantly says, well, multiple orgasms for one. And then watching it again and thinking about it, plus, with listening to the sex doctors and listening to chatting with Candace and stuff they've talked about, I kind of dawned on me, I don't think he was being flippant at all. That's that was a serious answer, and it's a big effing deal.
Hmm.
That you know there there's a reason the yin yang symbol is so important and is a major part of Robert Jordan's The Wheel of Time. And the quote, the theme I've been harping on is that men and women do their best work when they work together. And that yin yang symbol is different, but swirling around each other, but completing each other.
Hmm.
So I think one of the reasons men view sex the way we view it, and why I think women have a hard time understanding this, is because it's basically the same every time. That's kind of a downside, really. You can make the case that women get more out of sex because the act itself can be different, can be better or worse, but the climax is the climax. When a guy orgasms, it's pretty much the same every time.
Well,
But
I'm gonna get Sapolsky on you here.
okay.
Okay, so he kind of flippantly but seriously in one of his speeches. It's very great. On You can find it on YouTube about his book Why Zebras Don't Get Ulcers. Is the male erection has to be a relaxed state,
Hmm.
but when you get to the climax, it automatically flips to a sympathetic nervous system state. So you have the parasympathetic nervous system, which is relaxed, and you have the sympathetic, which is your response. And so to have the erection, you need to be parasympathetic, or else you can't have it. That's why anxiety causes ED, right? And then when you get to the end, you have to flip
Mm-hmm.
to the other side. On the female side, you're you can be stress response the whole time, and it's actually kind of crazy because then you can just keep the dice rolling as you go. So it's what does he say? He said if you have ED, you can test if it's anxiety versus blood flow by putting stamps around your thing, and if the stamps are broken in the morning, that means you had an erection overnight, and that means it's anxiety. but insurance won't pay for the stamps.
um, but where was I going? There's a lot going on in my head right now,
Yeah,
and I'm
yeah,
trying
yeah.
to
No, no, no.
focus.
I threw you
But
off because it is a funny thing. I mean, he's a funny professor, but
but that is why kind of the trade-off is, well, you brought up the you need to be relaxed, and anxiety or things that interrupt. And this is something Candace Horbox has talked about, of guys being a light switch and women being a dimmer switch,
mhm.
which is kind of frustrating but also good for a guy, because anyone who has kids has probably experienced the kids are in bed. Now it's time for mommy and daddy to have some alone time. And then in the middle of stuff, baby starts crying. Well, you know, chatting with Candace, she's talked about this a few times, is, it's kind of guy's superpower is that switch goes off. It's, oh, baby's crying. Hold on, honey, let me go deal with it. And so guy goes from, you know, focusing on wife to, oh, got to take care of the kids. Switch goes off, different switch goes on, goes and takes care of the kid, gets the baby back to sleep,
That's why
comes
you should
back.
name your baby Gotham, so Gotham needs you.
Exactly. That's how you, okay. So when that task is done, that switch turns off, the other switch is back on. Let's go, baby. Well, except for her, that can be really frustrating, because if you're a high libido woman, you can really want to, but you got to get back in the mood, because that baby crying triggers all sorts of things in her head that makes it go, ah, what's
You,
this?
well,
What's
you,
that? What's going
yeah,
on? Is
you,
something wrong?
yeah, you described it improperly because uh, it might have been you that told me this way, way, way back when that you had heard men are diesel engines, women are chainsaws. So basically, if the diesel engine's going, you get out, you do what needs to be done, and you get back in, and the engine's still running.
There's a reason truckers leave their
Y-
engines idling
Yeah, and but the chainsaw can turn on and off, and sometimes turn off at the most inopportune time.
and get
R-
hung up and have choke
Yeah,
problems. That, yeah, anyone
yeah.
who's ever worked a chainsaw, they can be a pain in the butt.
Okay, so side story. Uh, my sister's husband, my brother-in-law, uh, we were gonna take down a tree, and the chainsaw broke. Like maybe 10 minutes into
Oof.
the project, we ended up using one of those old school hand saws where two people go
Oh,
and we got it down, but we had to do it in sets and reps. We couldn't do it all at once. But it was uh that that's a side note, but at the same time, no, if we are in the mood, guys, and something comes up, we can go do the thing and then come back and still be in the mood.
mm-hmm.
Where on the other side, women, if they're in the mood, you better take advantage of that. And if something comes up, you probably lost your night. And
And this is a major part of what Alison Armstrong spends a lot of time talking about. And we played that clip from the Sex Doctors, and what, I can't remember her name. I can't remember.
Mary and Brandon.
Marianne Brandon. This is what she was talking about: is, hey, sex is good for you as an individual and as a couple. So if you know it takes some work to get in the mood, then do the work to get in the mood. Don't just say, oh, I'm
Hmm.
not in the mood. Well, okay, yeah, I wasn't in the mood to go take
Yeah,
care of the crying baby, but I did it.
yeah, and that's dual responsibility as a partnership because
Mm-hmm.
couples are it's a mutual benefit. So if I'm happy, then you'll be more happy, and if you're happy, I'll be more happy. And that's what a lot of people so much internet advice now is self care, self this, self that.
Mm-hmm.
So, but if I take care of you, then I'm going to be more happy because then there will be some reciprocation, right? And so yeah, if you get yourself warmed up, because you don't want to plan. Okay, so a lot of women say, "Oh, I want spontaneity." No, what they want is you to turn them on.
Mm, mhm.
Spontaneity, I could just throw down the coupon you gave me last year for, sex whenever you want it, right? For my birthday. I'll be like, okay, here we go. That's spontaneous. Hey, let's do it right now. No, you want me to turn you on when you say that. And so we've talked about all day foreplay and all of those things. And no, you don't want spontaneity if when you say that. You want me to turn you on. And that takes time
Yep.
and effort and
And familiarity. I have
familiarity,
to know you to know what turns you on.
but also being receptive.
Yep.
If you're locked out, if you're in a zone that is I am not going to be turned on, then there's nothing I can do. And if you say you need to turn me on to do this, but you also are in that zone, then we're not in a good spot.
Hmm. Yeah. Um, Actually, let me.
So any,
Um, where'd it go? There you are. Okay. Let me. I have a number of things here. No, darn it. Hold on.
you
Being
should
dumb.
be able to share.
All right. Oh, quiet you. All right. So I just happened to come across this. I don't know who this person is, but yeah, uh, last time I think it was, I had made the point of, hey, women, I don't know how to explain it to you any better or different than I already have. Of even a high libido woman really, really wants sex. When we say men need sex, don't roll your eyes and say, "Oh, you're such a child." No, men need it. It's not a really want.
Hmm.
Okay. And for women,
Well, part
be,
of it is that relaxation that I talked about. It's our comfort zone.
yes.
Yeah.
So, and I just happened to come across this person. If anyone knows who the heck this is, let me know. Because I don't. But
Are you
she's,
sharing? Are you
yeah,
sharing screen?
she's being
Because
interviewed by. Hold on, I can't share. She's being
hold
interviewed
on,
by
I
the
don't know how to do it. They changed the interface face again. So
this British woman who I've seen before because I've seen the clips
oh,
of her interview
okay.
with
Now
Ellison
you
Armstrong.
should be able to do it. Okay.
And so I came across this. Here we go. That one.
Is it still not working? There we
Nope,
go. Okay,
just
got
getting
it.
the right tab. All right. So
Oh, she looks
this,
familiar. Yeah.
yeah. So basically, this is a woman explaining to women that men need sex. And
Well,
it's,
she definitely is attractive. That's for
yep.
sure. Can you turn the volume up?
Oh, hold on. All right. So she is talking about talking to men and basically learning from them. All right. Let me know how the volume is here.
I saw also behind closed
Better.
doors
Yeah.
with men, you know, there was so much paradox, which I thought was fascinating. Like there were men that were so deeply in love with their wives and would speak about them. Their wives weren't having sex with them, and they would try to bring it up. They would even be going to therapy, and they were just being met with rejection across the board, right? Rejection there for a man is the equivalent of women's emotions being totally rejected and minimized. So, as much as we try to reduce sex to it's just sex and get over it, it's a huge part of how we communicate. It's another language. I saw all.
So that was the light
The,
bulb moment for me was when she said, "This is would be the same as if he's rejecting your feelings."
mm-hmm.
So if you say, "Oh, it's just sex, get over it," okay, well then how would you feel if he said, "Oh my gosh, why are you so upset about this? Just get over it."
Yeah, I don't know who the lady that was talking was, but the host of that was Lisa Bilyeu. Uh,
Okay.
and her husband is the one who started Quest, the supplement brand,
Mm,
and then built it up and then sold it. And they have a lot of investment stuff between each other. But they also have I think it's called Impact is their social media brand. But yeah, she's
okay, I've
really
heard of
good.
that. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'll have to go. I'll have to find her channel and see if I can find the full interview to find out who this person is. But um, I I appreciated the way she framed that, and I think that is the way to explain it to women, because women talk about what is your love language, right? They're big into that kind of
hmm Well,
the
I
buzzword
mean,
of the
there's
day.
a lot to that. There's a
Mhm.
lot of scientific backing to the love language, and I'll tell you mine. So you have a giving and receiving. So my receiving is physical touch, like hold my hand, hug me, that
Mhm.
kind of stuff. But my giving is acts of service. Like my favorite thing to do is uh, to be personal is wash my partner in the shower. That's it's a very intimate act, and it's not even sexual. You're just you have a wash rag with soap on it and you wash them. That is like my favorite thing to do for somebody. So it's uh and everybody's got a giving and a receiving love language. What are all of them? Acts of service, physical touch, gift giving. What are the other ones? Time spent together, and then there's one more. I can't remember what the last one is because it's not important to me. So,
Mhm.
but
A-
yeah,
and she's making that point about talking to men who are still very deeply in love with their wives, and yet their wives have just completely closed off the door to sex, and they either don't understand or don't care that that is his ultimate love language. He needs that. And again, in the same way that you need validation, understanding, acceptance of your feelings,
hmm
that's the equivalent. And the
yeah. Go ahead and finish your thought. I have a secondary thought to that, but
I also think, and part of the point of using sex itself as the illustration here is that this is also why guys are kind of always in the mood, because we recover really fast. And like I said, it there have been numerous studies and surveys over the years that have shown that women actually think about sex more than men. Men think about it more often.
mm.
And again, I think that mirrors uh, our differences
Well,
in orgasm, because a
well,
man
and
will.
also we don't even have to go there. It mirrors our differences in how we do it in our alone time. Us men watch porn and women read smut novels.
Yep,
Yeah.
about 80/20.
hmm
Yeah, about 80%, 20%. And then,
Although I'm reading one of the most famous ones right now. I'm about 4 chapters in, but
so guys, you also need to understand that this one of the reasons women aren't always in the mood is one, as you've already said, it takes more work for them to get in the mood and stay in the mood.
hmm
But also, it's not just, we started with the Peterson's, flippant multiple orgasms, and it kind of occurred to me, it's not just multiple, it's intensity. Like I
hmm
said, for a guy, it's pretty much the same every time. But women can not only have multiple, but they vary in intensity.
mm. Now, I will say. I mean, obviously you've been married a long time, and I've had more experience with multiple people. There is variance in a male orgasm. In fact, sometimes you don't even get it. Uh, but with the female, yeah, it actually, once the dice start rolling, it gets better and better and better and better and better for them as you go until they can't take it anymore. And it's so intense that you have to stop. Uh, so,
which is also why she's going to be satisfied for longer than you will.
mhm. Well, and also you know, we need that little bit of recovery time, but at the same time, that's just because of blood flow. Uh, Whereas she needs the recovery time because it got to a point of intensity that is like a 10 by 3 workout when you're lifting heavy, right? You need that recovery time for 72 hours or whatever after. So it's well, and this is if you do it right, because so many guys haven't got this to this point with a woman, but it's unfortunately. Uh
Well, and I feel like that is twofold. It's the word I used earlier, familiarity, is how well do you know your partner? And
well, some guys just don't care.
that too.
They get their nut and they're done. And I mean, it is unfortunate and that you said 80-20. That's probably about the right split for that.
Yeah, that is. I don't know if things have changed now because the idiot box in our pocket gives us ready access to porn. So I don't know if the numbers with women are going up. Deborah So indicated that it was, but I don't recall her ever giving numbers. But it's from what she has said in her research and in talking to people, it sounds like young women and girls are watching more porn, but they're doing it, unfortunately, as an instructional video, and they're
Yeah,
learning
yeah,
wrong.
yeah. No,
That is
no, no. I had
that
to
is something
ask.
that on that Free Beacon interview with the female interviewer, she talked about it with Chris Williamson, but she spent more time talking about that aspect of it because it was a female interviewer who kind of asked some follow-ups to that, and Dr. So reiterated the point about choking and other things that women don't actually like most of the time, and yet
Uh,
they're thinking that. So here's the
yeah,
thing
yeah. Well,
that.
okay, no, no. Just having had a partner that was into BDSM, uh, she begged for it, and and so learning about that community, the whole community, not just her, the whole community is it is a it is a demonstration of trust because I am the bigger, stronger sex, and if I am going to choke her, which it took me a while to get used to that, but if I am going to choke her, she is trusting me to let go
Mhm.
at the right moment. And if I'm going to use the little leather paddle or whatever on her, I am not going to do it in a way that damages her. And that's the 50 shades of gray, right? That it's the ultimate trust. And remember, okay, so spoiler alert if you haven't seen the movie or read the books, she asked him to go to the extreme at the end, and he actually hurt her, and then she left him. That's one of the points of the movie is he was doing it in a way that was comfortable for her, but still a new experience. But then she said, give me all of it," and he did, and she was like, "Oh my God, I can't. That you abused me at this point." And yeah, it's a very complicated community. And it well, you watched the Deborah So interview. That is more uh predictive of childhood abuse than anything else in
Mhm.
relationships, is if they're into that. And it makes you sad, but at the same time, you gotta, I mean, you're their partner. And if that's what makes them happy and you don't do it, they will leave you.
Well, that's a whole can of worms in and of
Yeah,
itself that we can
it's a
table
big
for
can of
later.
worms.
But
Yeah.
I will say that I think the so using these any of these kind of more extreme fetishes, um,
Do not do a
it
foot fetish with me. I have an
oh no.
aversion to feet.
Apparently, that's what Gen Z is into.
Oh no, no. I wear socks everywhere I go.
So
Yeah.
so like the 80s and into the 90s was boobs, and then it was butts, and now apparently it's feet,
Oh no,
which is
it's
disturbing to
boobs.
me.
It's still boobs. It's
No,
gotta
no,
be.
no. For Gen Z,
Well, did
it's
I send
feet.
you the thing with boobs? We
Yes,
should
yes,
have
you did.
cold opened with that.
Forget about that.
Oh,
We'll
you
put
know
a pin
what?
in
I
that.
think it was on Instagram, Facebook, right? So I can bring it up.
Um, oh yeah. So looking into those kinds of things can be illustrative because it makes the point more starkly, but it's akin to using professional athletes or soldiers or extreme moments in history to shine a light on human nature. But most of the people, most of the time, that's not going to apply directly to you. It it is an insight. In the same way that there is a reason that something like BDSM is a very small percentage of the population who are truly into that. You may dabble, you may be curious, you may think you need to do it for your partner, which is Dr. So's point, but you don't like it or it goes too far for you. And I think
Hmm.
the reason is, and kind of what I was yelling at my phone when I was listening to her talk about this with Williamson and with I forget the Free Beacon um, interviewer's name when she was talking about this is, and maybe this is one of those third rails we're about to get canceled in trouble. Is you're not supposed to say this, but women want a assertive, dominant
Hmm.
male.
Yeah. And I'm gonna flip that a little bit, because very high performing males like CEOs and stuff typically go for the sub position in that environment.
If they're into that, but again, that is a small percentage of the population
Hmm. Yeah.
that are actually
Well, they
into
want the
that
opposite of their
thing.
regular life is
Mm-hmm.
what they want. Uh, I mean, it's a really sexuality is so interesting because it is typically the opposite of your survival mode. We remember we saw the meme with the zebra watching the two lions have sex, and it's like the lions are giving up having food so they could do it, and the zebra is giving up escaping the lion just to watch. You know, it's it is it's one of my two favorite subjects because it is the opposite of if I just want to make it through the day. The other one is trust. We've talked about that
Mm-hmm.
because trust is something that we give somebody and we put our life in their hands. And sexuality and trust are the two most interesting topics to me because they are the opposite of just making a shelter, getting your food, and all of that. And it's freaking fascinating. But
And
at the same time, you said we need it as men,
mhm.
so it is getting through the day. We need it. We need at least the opportunity and the reassurance that goes along with it. Yeah, if we don't have sex every day, that's fine. But if you show affection to me and it's something
Yes.
that comes in every once in a while, yeah, that's fine. But when you cut it off, that's the end of a relationship.
Hmm.
It's the absolute end of a relationship. Did I throw you off?
Yeah, I'm just again so much going on in my head.
Prompt me. I could probably riff a little bit more.
Well, so talking to the bros again, you brought up the, you know, uh, if the guy doesn't care, I also think you've also kind of made me think if he doesn't know, because I wonder if how many guys understand, no, you don't just really want sex. You need it, but you need it in the right way.
That's okay. So I can riff on this because I work with professional athletes and we go out all the time, and of course they're getting one night stands, but one after the other, after the other, after the other, after the other. I had one that he showed up late and his training partner came in and said, well, he was with his 17th girl in 20 days. And the body count of this person is probably in the thousands. He's Wilt Chamberlain numbers, you know? And when it comes to female relations, he's miserable.
Hmm.
Absolutely miserable. In fact, the next day he's thinking about the next girl he could pick up, and he thinks that'll make him happy. But then he got into a real relationship, and when it didn't work out, biggest broken heart you've ever seen. Big, I mean, like almost suicidal. Biggest broken heart you've ever seen. And it was like, yeah, that's because you treated something like a toy that wasn't supposed to be a toy. And unfortunately, hopefully, I'm trying to be an influence on him right now. Don't make it a toy again.
Hmm.
Let's find you a real relationship. Let's, maybe you get under a little bit to get over, but let's try to do it right for once. And it's hard when your body count is in the thousands. How are you going to be satisfied?
You have conditioned your brain
Mm-hmm.
to, the all of life's lessons are in a country song somewhere. Eric Paisley, she don't love you, she's just lonely. And
Mm-hmm.
it's and the real gut punch to the song is the very end of it, where because he goes through all these lines about how she used to love, she used to have a heart, but it's been broken too many times. So now she doesn't love anyone. She's just lonely. And the punchline at the end is, yeah, I was one of those guys. I kind of got the ball rolling by breaking her heart,
Yeah,
by starting her on this path. And
that's Williamson's tall girl problems. When the attractive woman intimidates the good guys and only the bad guys approach them.
mhm,
And so they always have bad experiences with relationships. And
yep.
unfortunately, that's kind of the case.
And I think it's more difficult for a guy to get because we are kind of have that, mammalian hard wiring of spread your seed, but we can break ourselves too.
Oh yeah,
It
100%.
it might take a little longer than it would with a woman, but you can condition yourself. We talk, we haven't done a physical fitness episode in a while. We've been talking mental fitness, but it's the same principle.
Hmm.
You let yourself become deconditioned, where your muscles start to atrophy, where your body fat is going up, where your joints don't your joints create essentially a lubricant as you work them, as you move them. If you don't lubricate the machine, it seizes up, right? You can condition your body into a serious negative space. You can
Hmm.
do the exact same thing with your brain. I mean, that's what addiction is.
Yeah, but also with relationships, with human sexuality, neurotransmitters are a real thing. And sometimes you get in the right state at the right time. And if you are conditioned to be transient, i.e., you move from one to the next to the next to the next to the next, and the PEA, phosphoethylalanine, starts flowing in your brain, that's the one that makes you stupid in love. And if you're transient and you get that going, and the person you are with is not receptive, then you're gonna go crazy. And it's a crazy. Uh, I mean, we don't have a big following anyway, so I'll just use the word mind fuck. It is a huge mind fuck, and you're gonna go crazy. Uh, so yeah, just pick and choose your battles, and oof, it's a tough space to be. It is a very tough space to be, but it's a space you put yourself into.
And the first key to picking your battles is to know yourself.
Yeah.
It's numerous political military theorists throughout the ages and across cultures have all said, a variation of something that Matt says in Wheel of Time, which is know yourself and know the enemy, and flip a coin of which one's more important,
Hmm.
because you need both. It's you don't want to. It Another physical fitness analogy is, don't slap 300 pounds on the bar and try and deadlift it if you don't know if you can, right? No, you work up to it. You get
Hmm.
warmed up. You figure out what you are capable of, and then you can push your limits. But first, you have to know who you are and what you're capable of.
Yeah, but at the same time, you have to push the limits.
Yes.
So if you're a guy out there in the audience listening, approach the girl. That 80% of women say they would want more men to approach them, even though the internet says don't approach women. And yeah, so if you're not 6'4" with six figures and all of that stuff, go say hi. Or join a club that they might be interested in. Get a puppy. Get a freaking puppy and take it to the park. That's great ground or icebreaker. I'm trying to think of the ultimate message here because we were talking about sexuality and how men need it. Uh, yeah, women know that men are lonely right now.
Mm.
And a lot of them are lonely in relationships. And a lot of them are lonely because the world says don't approach. And what is the thing where women in the what is it, 1700s France used to drop their little uh tissue on the
Yeah.
ground to show they were interested. And yeah, just show that you might be interested in somebody approaching you too. So on the women's side, be receptive. And on the men's side, God, be bold every once in a while and just be comfortable with the fact that you will fail sometimes.
I know it's easier said than done,
Oh,
and
very, very, very easier said
I
than done. Yeah.
I have another short, but I don't want to play it because it's the style of short that I despise the most, which is just some dude like holding the camera to himself and like pointing at the clip of somebody else, and you're not saying anything. You are not transforming this. You are not adding to it.
Yeah.
Just post the clip if you think it's a good clip. And I can't find what this is from, but it was like a roundtable discussion. It kind of looked like a college auditorium, and you have this younger guy who seems to be like maybe a graduate student with several professors talking about this kind of stuff. And it was kind of a lightning bolt moment of oof, yeah, we have again, this is why we don't really talk the politics of the day anymore, is
Hmm.
because culturally we are so broken. Because he made this point
Hey, 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 politics is downstream of culture.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so the loneliness crisis, the sextinction, as Dr. So calls it in her new book, is even worse than we think it is when this guy frames it this way, because he said, that he's a little older. So that's why I say I'm assuming he's like a grad student. And he said that it's not just that people my age and younger aren't getting in relationships, aren't getting into committed relationships, aren't having children. The bigger problem is that, and he's speaking anecdotally, he says, in my circle of friends, most of them aren't even interested. And then he says,
That
"Oh,
is
this is
worrisome. Yeah.
this
Yeah.
is the kicker that I hadn't really thought about in these terms before." And then he says, "Do you know what you have to do to a mammal to make it uninterested in procreation?" And the first thing that
Well,
popped into my head is if you've ever tried to feed a stray or rescued a stray and you're trying to feed them and they're hiding, how mad does that make you? And again, back to Sexton made this point of you don't treat the dog you treat the dog better than you treat me, is we treat animals better than we treat ourselves lately,
well,
is how
n-
mad does that make you of who did that to you to beat you down so much that you're willing to starve rather than come over here and get this food.
well, not only that, this is something I talked over with our friend Chuck, the affable gentleman. Uh, he We talked about the rat park study where they got rats addicted to heroin, and they were addicted to heroin in their cage, but they made a rat park that was this play area and everything, and they all of a sudden were not addicted to heroin again. I mean, how strong is just a good life?
Hmm.
A good life where we're all interacting, where we're all doing the things that we need to do, and we look at human addiction, your past trauma is highly predictive of what you're going to end up with. Alcoholism, heroin, everything. And it's all of a sudden these rats were in the rat park and they didn't hit the heroin button anymore. That's crazy because heroin is highly, highly addictive.
Mm-hmm.
It's second on the list. Meth is the first, but heroin is second on the list of addictable substances. So it's like,
So I have a dorky example because I never understood the train thing. My tism though is military equipment, past and present and future, and so this stuff fascinates me.
the train thing, like running a train or
No, why super autistic people are fascinated by trains?
oh, okay.
I never got that because that is not my tism at all. But I
Because they're predictable and it's an
ah,
engineering. Yeah, yeah.
that's what it is. Okay,
Yeah.
so I had heard about this, and I heard people, the usual suspects of everything Trump does is stupid, and the point of this story is this is why the news cycle is nonsense. Because for several days, when the Trump class battleship was announced, Um, the the usual suspects on X were just excoriating him as a big dumb dummy who doesn't know anything. Well, then one of the channels I follow that does deep dives on military stuff finally got around to doing a video on it because they did their homework and they dug into it of, okay, what is this? And I won't say all the Navy wants it. There are still some people in the Navy that think it's a waste of resources, but there's a sizable chunk of the Navy that wants this. Would you like to know why? Because this is cool. The reason it needs to be battleship size is because it needs a nuclear reactor,
Mm.
because they're going to put rail guns and lasers on it.
We went sharks with lasers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Is so all of these people saying this is the dumbest thing ever, this is just Trump on an ego trip. No, Navy people want this because this is the only way. We've had railguns for a while.
Yeah.
They they use a ton of power, which is why they've never been able to be deployed and implemented. Well, now directed energy weapons are becoming better. Rail guns are becoming better, but they still take a lot of power. The only way to give them that much juice is a nuclear reactor.
Hmm.
Nuclear
Which we
reactors
sh
are
we should
big.
be doing nuclear power plants all over.
Yeah, exactly.
The mini ones,
But
like they like they did in France. Yeah.
yeah, but even the small ones are really big. That's why
Yeah.
modern submarines are the size of a World War II aircraft carrier.
Hmm.
Okay, the nuclear powered ones anyway. The small ones are diesels still. So I just laughed when I saw that because one, it's cool to me, but also it was just another illustration of, just take a breath and wait a minute, because the people who are instantly screaming on social media over whatever the news of the day is, it's going to turn out to probably be nonsense. So instead, spend your time on these longer form interviews where people actually explore a topic in depth and you learn something worthwhile about the world and about yourself.
Hmm. Yeah.
Especially when it comes to our lack of relationships.
Oh,
You
it's
know,
such a horrible thing right now. And again, everybody knows I'm newly semi-single. The dating scene is fucking crazy right now. And I just see all my friends that are in it that are miserable. And it's like, God, I don't know what the fix is, really. You know, meet people in person. That's part of the fix.
so I don't remember if I've ranted about this before, but I've encountered this going back to school because I'm surrounded by youngins, and uh, when we were in college, that's where all our friends, most of our friends come from, that we're still friends with, are people we went to college with, because it was easy to make friends because you're around people all the time. You're going to find out, not you're going to find out what you have in common and what you like, but also be introduced to things like, you nerds introduced me to Wheel of Time, of what the heck are you guys talking so passionately about, for 3 hours down in the lobby.
Yeah,
Well,
who was it? Dustin was one of them.
there were
He
like
was
five
he
or
was
six of you
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that were talking about it, and I remember seeing you reading the book in high school, but I was never never got into it and was never interested, and then said you need to read this. But I think part of the problem is the idiot box in our pocket, because I thought, I'll meet people when I go back to college. No, because nobody talks to anybody. I
Hmm.
was talking to some people at the end of the semester,
I have made
and
a few friends in
I
in
I
my
was
second college experience. So,
I was
yeah.
borrowing. I asked someone if I could borrow her notes, because I had missed some classes, because I wasn't feeling well, and she takes very meticulous notes. And she said, "Sure, I'll give me your number. I'll text them to you." And and I asked if she wanted to meet up and get with some of the other people in the class and study for the final. Have a study group to study for the final. Oh, are you on the group me? No, I'm standing right here in front of you talking to your face like an actual person. Well, we can trade the notes on the group meet. No, no, like sit down at a place with a table and chairs where we
Yeah.
can spread out our notes and talk to each other and go over the material together like human beings.
Yeah, when I was at San Antonio College, we used to meet at gyms. Remember gyms
Oh
in San
yeah.
Antonio? Yeah. We used to meet at gyms and we'd all share our notes and they were all handwritten at that point. And I think I
And
had just gotten a cell phone for the first time at that point. And
it's not just the lack of socialization that is concerning there. It is, guys, you're not learning. You are not learning optimally. Very, very few people can just read a thing and know it. You, in order to really understand and remember something, you need multiple forms of input. So
mhm,
if you are sitting with other people, if you are sharing the notes, if you are discussing it, maybe something will come up of, oh, I hadn't thought about that. What does that mean? I thought that meant that. No, you think this. You're going to remember better and you're going to have a fuller understanding of the material, but they just don't meet up. I almost never see people together except maybe friends walking to and from class. When we were in college, there were groups of people together all the time in between
mhm.
classes,
Well, you
either
remember
hanging
Parker
out
Hall,
or
the
studying.
the the lobby.
Yep.
Yeah, we were all sitting down there, uh, socializing, first of all, socializing, and then going over our class stuff. And it was, I mean, it was the nerdery, it was the honors dorm, but
Mm-hmm.
it was oh, you're in this class too? Okay, well, let's go over this and da 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 da. And then we play some hacky sack, and then we would go back over our notes, and you just
Yeah.
kind of you juggled that.
So I think the first step of how do we do this is to just recognize, hey, you need to do this. You need connection with
Mm-hmm.
other human beings. We've been talking specifically about sex, and that is the ultimate connection,
Mm-hmm.
but you also need those other connections with friends and acquaintances and just, uh random people you meet at the bar, when you're griping about the frickin' Rangers and their up and down season and why they can't ever put it together and have good pitching and good hitting at the same day. I don't know who that guy was. I never even got his name. Doesn't matter. We shared a moment over some beers and griping about the Texas Rangers, right? The World Cup's going on right now. Go to a watch party.
Yeah, but at the same time, what is it? 20 something percent of men don't have a friend they can call.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. Yeah, that's
That
that's a, that's a
is,
quarter. That's a
yep.
quarter of all men
And
don't have a friend they could call. Like I could call you anytime. I
it
could call
is
your
not a
brother
coincidence
anytime.
that
I could call
suicide
Chuck
rates are going
anytime.
up. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, but yeah, that's even more alarming than the sex number. Because if you're the person that doesn't have a friend you can call, you're probably also the person that doesn't have a relationship. I would guarantee that the correlation rate there is probably like 90%.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and if not, the 10% are probably just uh, American Psycho. You know, it's oof. Yeah, it's a tough world.
Okay, so I want to close with this clip that I found of Alison Armstrong from her interview with Bill Yu, and it's so good to our primary topic where we started talking about um, sex differences and relationships between the sexes, but I think it's also a really good uh, uh, illustration of why you need to unplug. Because something I noticed scrolling around X the past few days, people losing their mind over the Iran deal when there isn't even a deal. You're just assuming. But then the other thing that I was seeing more and more, because the I don't know what's going on at the left, but the right is going at each other's throats over this. And the thing I kept thinking to myself as I was scrolling through, seeing what people were saying, that it's either the greatest thing ever or the worst thing ever, is holy cow, the saying, don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good, has been thrown out the window.
Mm.
That
Well, as I always
so
say, is perfection is a direction, not a goal.
yes.
Yeah, yeah.
And this is the worst thing ever because I think it's going to have this or it's not going to have that, and that makes this the worst thing ever. Okay, well, is it better than where we were? The
Not at
best.
war. Yeah.
Yeah. uh, not at war, and we have crushed their uranium enrichment. Okay, cool. Let's see what else we can get. All right, let's wait for the details and
Mhm.
then evaluate, is it better than it was? That I've said before, the best advice from Peterson is also the most annoying because it's the hardest to do, which is don't compare yourself to who someone else is today. Compare yourself to who you were yesterday.
Mm.
And
I
that is
was I would say the hardest one is always tell the truth or at least don't
okay.
lie.
For me, it's that one because I'm so critical of myself. But to your point, perfection is a direction. It's a process. And the I think this is, so we've talked before about James Lindsay and his term the woke right, and how
Hmm.
it's getting slung around in ways that don't make sense. But to me, one of the hallmarks of woke is J.K. Rowling.
Mm.
J.K. Rowling is a feminist lefty, except on one issue.
Yeah.
And the Rainbow Mafia excoriates her. I mean, she's as evil as Trump, and they're both literally Hitler because of one thing. And what Alison Armstrong is going to talk about here is just that, but on an interpersonal level, on a one-to-one level. And so I think if you can practice what she's talking about here, it will make you yourself better, it will make your relationships better, and then ultimately that makes everything better. So let's go ahead and play this. It's about 30-45 seconds long.
Declare that if women really want to be masterful at interacting with men, they should study video games.
This is so important. Every effort they make, they move their little piece, they get points. You want men to spend effort on you? Give them points. Don't wait till they get it 100% right to give them any appreciation, any effort. Oh, thank you for the effort. Thank you for trying. Thank you for trying to get me roses for Valentine's Day. You tried so hard. Thank you.
You declare that if women
Yeah. Oh. Oof. We can do
That
that as men too.
Yeah,
You know, thank you for the dinner that you kind of burned. Thank you for there's so many things you could just throw in there because we're so integrated as a society now. You could say thank you for the work week that you had to take one day off. Thank you for all of that. So it's oof, that one hit. That one hit. I haven't seen that full interview. I might watch that full interview as my homework. But
yeah.
yeah.
I've gotten a lot of clips from that because there's a lot of good stuff in there. And
She's actually such a fantastic interviewer. She's actually better than her husband in that because he's the business owner, and he does the interviews and stuff too. But I think she's better than he is.
what Alison Armstrong is talking about there is just simple old-fashioned manners. And
Yeah,
forgotten them, and we used to have them for a reason, because it was another extreme example. A classic hallmark of psychopathy and someone that is going to turn into a really bad person is a child that abuses animals.
Hmm.
Because what does that say about you? That you would do that. Well, same thing about manners. If you're lacking in manners, what does that say about you and what you think of yourself and what you think of other people? And then what is it doing to the circle of people that you interact with? And then that's going to cascade out.
Well, see, I got a different message from that. Uh, One of the things that attracts people to me as a trainer, as a business owner that does training, is when somebody walks through the door, I say the only rule is do the best you can. If you don't hit the highest number you've ever done, that's okay. You just did the best you could. So I don't need 100%. Now, do I want to see improvement over time? Yes. But that's on me. That's on my programming, that's on, but if you came in and you did the best you could, your body's going to develop. And yeah, so that's the message I got is yeah, it doesn't have to be perfect every time, but it's the best you could do that day. Which, especially when you work with older people, that's
Well, that is a good takeaway from that, because I think kind of the closing thought here in playing that is kind of our wrap up is a lot of us probably need to start that with ourselves.
yeah.
Is don't don't hold yourself to an impossible standard, and then work on that, and as you do that, apply it to other people too.
Hmm.
Partial credit is important. Okay, give yourself some partial credit and extend that to the people around you, especially if you are in a serious relationship with someone.
Oh yeah.
That is very important to making that the kind of healthy relationship that we all need, not really want, need. You know,
Hmm.
we talked about sex and the
And that's
different approaches to it, but we both need it. We just need different parts of it for different reasons.
well, and that's the thing too, because we'll go back to the work of Mary and Brandon as well, and Laura Howe that we've talked about before. Sometimes you just got to give yourself a win and maybe force it a little bit. It's like exercise. You may not want to get up and go for a jog, but if you go for the jog, you're going to feel better afterwards.
Yeah. Or so you don't feel like getting up and going for the jog. Okay, so get up and start walking
Yeah,
and see
yeah,
what
yeah, yeah.
happens.
You know, and I mean we can make a lot of analogies with sex there, but it doesn't have to be like an epic porn event every time. You could just maybe start kissing. You hold hands, you know, lay on their chest, that kind of thing, and then see where it goes from there. So it's yeah, if you're in that starved relationship, start with something. Just start with something. And if it does, I mean, if it's not going to work, then maybe you're in the wrong relationship. But just start with something.
But you're never going to know if you just sit in the same rut the whole time.
Yeah, yeah. No, if you're sitting in separate rooms watching your Netflix or whatever, you're never going to know.
Yeah.
No.
Yep. 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 In much the same way of you said, get a dog and go to a dog park. You're never going to know if you don't put yourself out there and try.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Everything is the same. Yeah, it's everything rhymes, I should say. It's
Yeah.
not the same, but everything rhymes. Yeah. If you never approach the girl as a guy, you will never have a date.
Mm.
You
Well,
have to do it.
hopefully us yelling at the clouds helped somebody with something. And we kind of teased, and next time we'll talk about, and you can dig around in the literature. I've seen some stuff on psychedelics as treatments for mental
Mhm,
health, and I'm curious how much serious study has been done. I know in Texas they allocated, I don't remember how many, like $30 million for research into specifically into psychedelics as mental health treatment,
mhm.
because I've had my own experiences with a very mild under doctor supervision psychedelic, and I think it says a lot about the how noisy our minds get.
Yeah, and I just recently had an experience with a high dose and a one-off effect, and I really feel like it rewired my brain, and I can go into the literature on things like PTSD and everything and how your your brain allocates memories and how if you rewire that you can not create new memories but process your memories a little bit better. And so it's a very complicated thing. So yeah, a lot to go into with we have no time left. So that might be the best subject for next time. But also, I mean, I've got a personal experience, and you've got your experiences with it. You're more of a microdose
Mm-hmm.
thing, and I got a megadose. So yeah, we'll go into that next time. Anything else you want to close with?
No, we will see y'all next time.
Yep, like, subscribe, all those things.